Welcome into Outkick the Show. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. We got a lot to dive into, but right off the top, I want to tell you about my friends at Pure Talk. You can save up to $800 a year. I've got my own family signed up for this. Pure Talk people have been to my house. They will take care of you like they have taken care of my 13-year-old son. You get unlimited talk, text, 6 gigs of data for just $30 a month. You can also get a brand new iPhone 12 for $479. Keep your same phone if you want. Keep your same phone number for certain. How do you sign up and save up to $800 a year for you and your family? Go to puretalk.com. Shop for the plan and the phone that's right for you. Enter the promo code OUTKICK and you'll save 50% off your first month and save on a new phone. That's puretalk.com. Promo code OUTKICK. Some restrictions apply. See site for details. Brian Kelly to LSU. Notre Dame loses their coach to LSU. He sent out a text message last night. Brian Kelly scheduled to be introduced tomorrow. He had a 7 a.m. meeting with his team where Brian Kelly told everybody, peace out, I'm headed to LSU. He talked to them for 10 minutes. My question for all of you out there that have ever been to college, is there any way you're showing up for a 7 a.m. team meeting to hear that your coach is taking the money and he's running and he's going to leave you and he's headed down to Louisiana and you will probably never see him again in South Bend for the rest of your life? No way I'm showing up. No way I am showing up for this meeting. I don't begrudge Brian Kelly at all for making this choice, or anybody who is a top coach. I don't begrudge Lincoln Riley leaving for USC, but let's talk about what's going on here. Coaches are, if they are at the apex of their profession, underpaid. And I've been arguing this for a long time. Those of you who have watched and listened to me know that I have advocated the Clay Travis dump truck of cash theory for a long time. Texas A&M did it with Jimbo Fisher to get him to leave Florida State. They're doing it now at LSU for Brian Kelly. They did it at USC for Lincoln Riley in order to get a successful coach to leave. Pretty much the only reason that you're going to be able to do that is cold, hard cash. And you have to make a coach an offer that they cannot refuse. Mel Tucker got that offer at Michigan State. James Franklin got that offer at Penn State. So much money that they can't say no. That's the way the world works. And I've been arguing for a long time that Nick Saban is wildly underpaid. And people say, well, what do you mean by that? Nick Saban should be making $50 million a year. Because if he is the head coach of your program, he pretty much can guarantee you a national championship. In other words, Nick Saban took over the University of Tennessee tomorrow. Do you think he would win a national championship at Tennessee in the next 5 years? I do. Do you think Nick Saban would win a national championship in the next 5 years at Michigan? I do. Do you think Nick Saban would win a national championship in the next 5 years at USC? I do. If he took over any top 25 program, I think Nick Saban could win a national championship there. That's because Nick Saban is the best at what he does. The impact that Nick Saban has had on the University of Alabama is far beyond what he has been compensated. What happens in college football, and has happened for a long time, is instead of paying the coaches that deserve premiums, and I would say Lincoln Riley does, I would say Brian Kelly does, I would say Dabo Swinney does, I would say Nick Saban does, Kirby Smart, maybe, depending on how he continues to perform, Ryan Day. There are relatively few coaches in that top 10 category that are deserving of monster contracts. What ends up happening is, let's use Coach O as an example. Coach O gets paid roughly similar to Nick Saban because that's how LSU demonstrates that they care as much about football as Alabama does. The top coaches are elevating salaries for the middle tier. The top 10 to 20 coaches are wildly underpaid. I really believe that. The next 20 to 80 coaches are mostly overpaid because the way you demonstrate that you care as much as Alabama, or you care as much as Clemson, or you care as much as Ohio State is by paying your coaches far more than they would otherwise be able to make. There are relatively few coaches, I think, that are true difference makers. Credit to USC and credit to LSU. They have hired coaches that I believe are guaranteed not to fail. This has been my biggest criticism for a long time with the University of Tennessee. When they hired Derek Dooley, when they hired Butch Jones, when they hired maybe Josh Heupel, when they hired all of these different coaches, they made a choice to pay market or below market. And what do they always say? Well, if this guy succeeds, then we'll pay him a lot more money. My argument is, why not go ahead and pay a lot more money and guarantee yourself success? Because ultimately, success pays for itself in donations to the university, in ticket sales. As soon as you have an excited level of support for a new coach, fans buy tickets and immediately pay for whatever you had to pay that coach to come in. Now, this is only in college sports, because I think, for instance, in the NFL, your quarterback matters way more than your coach does. But in college, the quarterback is only there for a couple of years, even if he's great. What matters is the culture put in place by the head coach. Credit to LSU, credit to USC. I don't think they have overpaid. I think they have gotten guaranteed winners. They have set a high floor and also a high ceiling. Brian Kelly could win a national championship at LSU, just like Les Miles did, just like Coach O did. Now, I understand people are upset with the way these coaches leave, but that's a natural reality of what goes on right now when there's no non-competes. People say, how does this happen? The contracts don't matter. If a coach wants to leave, he can leave, and he can leave at any point, and he can go take over for a rival program. If Nick Saban wanted to, he could be the head coach of Oklahoma tomorrow. There's no other example out there where a highly paid CEO, because that's what a coach is, could leave one company and go to work for a competing company the next day and not even have to serve any non-compete at all. In general, I'm opposed to non-competes, but they exist almost everywhere. Tomorrow, I couldn't leave and go work at CNN or ESPN even if they wanted me, because I'm with Fox. That's what my contract requires. I couldn't leave my radio show and go work on another radio show outside of iHeart because I'm contractually signed up for the Clay and Buck show with iHeart. Imagine how much more money theoretically I could make if I have a good year, and 2021 has been a good year, and I could go out to the market every single year after I had a good year and say, hey, you want to have a successful radio show? You want to have a successful talk show host? I'm willing to do it. Be a good payday. But college athletics is unlike virtually anywhere else. So that's what's going on there. I don't begrudge the choice of Brian Kelly going to LSU. I think it was a good move. I think that Brian Kelly recognized that he wasn't going to win a national championship ever at Notre Dame, couldn't compete with Alabama, couldn't compete with Ohio State, couldn't compete with Clemson or other big Power 5 programs at Notre Dame. Why? Because I think those schools can get players in that Notre Dame never could. And I think now Brian Kelly will be able to recruit a larger number of players. And by the way, that's not an indictment of Notre Dame. Notre Dame, Northwestern, Vanderbilt, Stanford, all of those schools, Duke, they have to have kids who are great athletes and also great students. That's relatively rare. So the pool that they can recruit from is smaller. Notre Dame is doing the same thing. At LSU, Brian Kelly can go out and get anybody that he wants, in theory, bring him into his program. And if Les Miles could win a national title at LSU, and if Coach O could win a national title at LSU, I think there's every reason to believe that Brian Kelly will be able to win a national title at LSU as well. In the meantime, he's going to make a lot of money. I want to tell you about my friends at Candid Co. This is a really interesting situation as you go forward. and I hit the wrong button here, so let me go ahead and pull this one up. And I want to tell you all about what they do. There's a specialist for just about everything. When your car breaks down, you go to a mechanic. When there's a problem with your shower, you call a plumber. So when you want to get your uneven, crooked teeth fixed, you see an orthodontist. They're the specialist, and that's what sets Candid, the invisible, comfortable, and removable aligners above the rest. You can get hooked up right now, get a straighter, brighter smile you've always wanted, and you can get started from home for just $15. Average Candid treatment is just 6 months. You start seeing results way before then, cost thousands of dollars less than traditional braces. You can get hooked up with beautiful, straight, bright teeth for as little as $15. You can also book an appointment at a Candid studio near you today. Here's what I need you to do. Go to CandidCo, that's candidco.com/Clay, and use my code CLAY, C-L-A-Y. That's candidco.com/Clay. Use my code CLAY, and you can take advantage of a limited time offer for a $15 starter kit. If you've always wanted straighter, whiter, brighter teeth, you can get hooked up today at candidco.com/Clay, code CLAY, candidco.com/Clay. Use the code CLAY. How about Enes Kanter? I want to give a tremendous amount of credit to Enes Kanter. We didn't talk about the fact because I was down in Oxford and then I was down in Florida and I didn't do the show for several days. Enes Kanter wore, as a member of the Boston Celtics, tennis shoes that showed LeBron James being crowned by Chairman Xi, the dictator in charge of China, on his sneaker. And he wore them while playing against LeBron James. He has been calling out all of the NBA players who have been unwilling to stand up for basic human rights around the world. Meanwhile, they've been denigrating everything going on in the United States. He now has become a citizen and changed his last name to Freedom. Credit to Enes Kanter for everything that he is doing, for supporting human rights around the world, and for being willing, unlike a lot of corporations and a lot of people out there who make money off of China, to call out the dictators, the horrible genocidal dictators that are running China right now, for what they are doing. Props to Enes Kanter for his actions right now. I'm sitting right now in an X chair. You know what the X chair does? It hooks me up in a big way. It's the most comfortable chair I have ever sat in, and right now they have got an incredible offer for you. Not only is the X chair the world's greatest office chair, it has an Elemax technology that doubles as a massage chair. It can also cool you or warm your back. Can your office chair do that? I know a lot of you are working from home now. I do. 3-hour daily television, daily radio show, daily television. I think I'm going to be on Sean Hannity's show again tonight. So much work. I write, got the anonymous mailbag up. So much of my work is done while sitting in this X chair. And now's the perfect time to purchase an X chair. You can get $100 off your X chair just by purchasing it at xchairclay.com. That is Xchair's holiday gift for you. That's xchairclay.com. 30-day guarantee, complete comfort. I love this chair. It supports my back, helps me to be as efficient as I possibly can be. It will do the same for you. And if you want to do a payment plan as little as $30 a month, go to xchairclay.com and save. That's xchairclay.com. Paying attention to this new Chris Cuomo scandal? CNN's Chris Cuomo evidently has been doing behind-the-scenes research to support his brother, Andrew Cuomo, the former governor of New York, in all of the sexual harassment investigations. Now, this is a big issue for CNN because they allowed the Cuomo brothers to appear together on CNN, uncritically examined Andrew Cuomo's record as the governor of New York, and didn't discuss it in any kind of legitimate way. Now, of course, Andrew Cuomo is out of office. He may face criminal charges of a significant nature related to all of those issues. From a journalistic perspective, there's no way to defend what Chris Cuomo said. But from a perspective of someone who has kids, I would hope that my sons would all look out for each other, that they would put their familial relationships above their jobs. That's different than what CNN has to do, which is, I think, probably fire Chris Cuomo for what he did. Now, this is going to be an incredible comeuppance here, right? Because in the space of a little over a year, we will see Andrew and Chris Cuomo, what all the media love to cover, what all the media love to talk about, both losing their jobs over the way that they have responded to media scrutiny surrounding Andrew. And I think in a bigger picture issue here, CNN's got to figure out what they stand for. Are they going to be a legitimate journalistic organization? Or are they going to be Joe Biden's fluffers? Are they going to defend Dr. Fauci to the ends of the earth, even though there are ample areas of criticism for him? Or are they going to continue to be Fauciites and defend Fauci no matter what, no matter how much he gets wrong? The question that CNN has is they have no audience. The truth of the matter is they needed Donald Trump at CNN more than Fox News did, more than even MSNBC did. When they became an anti-Trump network, that gave CNN oxygen. As soon as Trump was gone, their ratings have plummeted to levels not ever seen before. So this is going to be, I think, an amazingly interesting decision that CNN has as they continue to move forward towards 2022. Are they going to turn back into a legitimate news organization, or are they going to continue to be a part of the resistance, which I believe has utterly failed them now that Trump is no longer in office? The biggest loser from a media perspective from Donald Trump failing to win re-election was CNN in a big way. There's a new Twitter CEO. New Twitter CEO has already got changes that are occurring at Twitter. He's already restricting what pictures can be put up, what videos can be put up, and he is also right now in the process of using Twitter to defend himself over past tweets. I took a picture of this because it was so ridiculous and utterly absurd. It's one thing if the CEO of Twitter wants to defend himself, but when I start off my morning by reading under the For You News tab, an old tweet from Parag Agrawal is a quote from a television show and is a satirical take on stereotypes journalists report. Twitter is a publisher. When they are choosing to pick the journalists that they like and share their information and even make it a trending topic so that other people can see it, this is propaganda designed to uplift the CEO of Twitter. There's no other way to describe what is going on here. I find it ominous. The new Twitter CEO, I think, is going to be worse than Jack Dorsey in terms of being in favor of free speech. And I am concerned that we are going to end up in a world where more and more people get censored and more people get removed from Twitter. A part of me is already preparing for that. That's one reason I wanted to take the biggest radio show in the country, the Clay and Buck Show, which I encourage you guys to subscribe to and go give us 5 stars. It's also another reason why I wanted to have a partnership with Fox going forward so that Outkick's articles and site can be as widely distributed as possible. Kamala Harris is such a disaster as vice president that, according to The Guardian, there is talk inside of the Biden White House about replacing her as vice president and making her the Supreme Court justice instead. Now, presumably this would be Justice Breyer stepping down. Remember, Joe Biden has already promised to put a black woman on the Supreme Court. And if they were going to make this switch, they would need to do it before the midterms, because the likelihood is that the Democrats will lose their 50-50 breakdown in the Senate and would be in a position where they're not able to get anyone confirmed to the Supreme Court until after the 2024 elections, because they wouldn't control the Senate and they also would not control the presidency at the same time. So they would need to do this between now and November of next year. Argument is that Biden wants a new vice president. Now, I continue to believe it is unlikely that Joe Biden is going to run for re-election. He's going to need to make a decision within the next year and a half, probably by May or June of 19, because the primaries start in January of 24. So what is Joe Biden going to end up doing? And is there any legitimacy to Kamala Harris going to the Supreme Court? Does she want it? I question whether she wants it or not. I can see why it would make sense for the Biden White House to push her off to the side and find a new vice president because she's wildly unpopular. But I don't know who they could replace her with. Maybe Stacey Abrams, without being called racist and sexist. And I just don't see Joe Biden as running in 2024. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he's going to run. I think it's highly unlikely in my humble opinion. Did you see Jussie Smollett, our old buddy, is on trial now? If you haven't seen this already, Jussie Smollett is on trial for his racial hoax crime, for lying to police. And this is amazing. Jussie Smollett brought his attackers on a dry run rehearsal the day before the fake hate crime, and part of that is on video. This is from Guy Benson, who pulled this off. I want to read this for you. "I want you to attack me," Jussie Smollett allegedly said, "but when you hit me, I want you to kind of pull your punches a bit because I don't want to get seriously hurt." He also instructed his attackers to put a rope around his neck to, quote, "make it look more like a lynching, like a hate crime." The three men, the two attackers and Jussie Smollett, also went on a dry run before the attack, part of which was captured on surveillance camera. Smollett's Mercedes can be seen circling the intersection, showing the brothers the area where he wanted the attack to occur. There is such a demand for racial victimization that there has to be racial victimization made up. There isn't enough supply of racism to fit the demand. Make no mistake here. What Jussie Smollett wanted to do was use his victimization status to further his career. He was trying to create a fake racial crime, a hoax, in an effort to make himself more employable going forward. He knew and deduced correctly that one of the most favored positions you can be in is a victim in modern day American society. Now, I think, this is my personal opinion, that Jussie Smollett should go to jail for the rest of his life. He should go to prison. Because what he tried to do was divide all of us. This was a direct attack upon white, black, Asian, and Hispanic people, using identity politics to further divide us. Now, there are a lot of idiots out there, like Kamala Harris, many left-wing politicians who called this a modern-day lynching and immediately believed everything Jussie Smollett said. In fact, many of their tweets calling him a victim are still up. I believe that Jussie Smollett needs the most significant penalties available to him, that he should go to prison for as long as possible. I understand that every attack out there is not a viable attack in terms of what he could end up having to suffer from a legal perspective. But I think it needs to be brought to bear against him in a massive way. Speaking of a massive way, a lot of you out there are slicing and dicing yourselves every single day, all to heck, because you are not signed up for Manscaped. You should be. Right now, as we move into the holiday season, somebody out there, you know, might need the Lawnmower 4.0 to make sure that your below-the-belt trimming works. Somebody out there that you know might need the Ultra Smooth package. Maybe it's your boyfriend, maybe it's your girlfriend, maybe it's somebody out there that is a significant other of yours. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe you need the Weed Whacker. Lots of hair, lots of nose out there, hair that is also becoming an issue. All of these products can help you, the man, get groomed the best possible way you can. After trimming your pubes and cleaning everything off, you can show some love thanks to Manscaped. Right now, you get 20% off and free shipping with the code DBAP20. Let me repeat that. 20% off and free shipping with the code DBAP20 at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code DBAP20 at manscaped.com. This year, before the end of the year, we want you hooked up. Do what I did. Do what you all should be doing. Take care of your grooming needs by going to manscaped.com and using the code DBAP20. Congrats to Mark Stoops and to Josh Heupel, both of whom have announced that they will be staying at Kentucky and also at Tennessee. Virginia Tech has got a new hire, the defensive coordinator from Penn State, but the Oklahoma job remains open and still remains to be seen exactly what might happen there going forward. But Mark Stoops, whose brother Bob was a highly successful coach at Oklahoma. In fact, Bob Stoops will be the coach for Oklahoma in whichever bowl game they are going to attend. He's out on the road recruiting. Who knows who's going to end up as the head coach of Oklahoma? But it will not be Mark Stoops of Kentucky, who has been announced to have gotten a raise and an extension. I expect that Josh Heupel, who has also said he is staying put at Tennessee, will also get a raise and an extension. College coaches, the elite ones, are underpaid. Remains to be seen whether Mark Stoops or Josh Heupel are elite coaches. But right now, Kentucky and Tennessee are happy with each of these guys. So we'll see what ends up happening going forward there. Finally, I'm going to talk about Hunter Biden in a moment and all of the hypocrisy associated with him. But I want to tell you about my friends at Farmfolio. Paid attention to the stock market. It's been a real mess of late. In fact, right now it is down. The Dow is 625 points as I am talking to you right now. The S&P 500 also similarly falling by a substantial margin. A lot of stocks taking big hits right now. Why is all of that occurring? Because there is massive sales pressure on many companies out there right now as we come up on the end of the year. So you got high inflation, 6.2%, declining stock prices. You have got taxes that are probably going to get raised in 2022. If you want to preserve your assets, what can you do? How about buying farmland? I own farmland. I've put a lot of my money into real estate. You can do the same for my friends at Farmfolio. You can buy lots. You can own, believe it or not, a lime farm. Right now, you can own, like I do, a part of a lime farm that has been created. These are land ownership titles. They allow you to own a piece of cash flowing farmland like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos do. Buy land, they aren't making more of it. That's what Mark Twain said. And right now, you can get hooked up. You should get hooked up with diversifying your assets at farmfolio.net/clay. That is farmfolio.net/clay. Get hooked up today. Protect your assets now by buying your piece of farmland. Check out the details at farmfolio.net/clay to learn more about farmland ownership. Farmfolio.net/clay. One more time, that's farmfolio.net/clay. Let's talk about Hunter Biden. Reports are, in a book by Miranda Devine called Laptop from Hell, that Hunter Biden received a 3-carat $80,000 jewel from a high-ranking Chinese communist official, and that he was also promised $30 million if he would advocate for Chinese interests. Basically, everything that the media spent 5 or 6 or 7 years telling you that the Trump family was involved in, that is exactly what has ended up happening with what Hunter Biden is allegedly involved in. But are you noticing that MSNBC and CNN and the Washington Post and the New York Times are almost not covering this story at all? It is an utter embarrassment that they tried to block the New York Post initially when they came out with this story about Hunter Biden, and that they are continuing to pretend that this story doesn't exist going forward. Why would they be pretending that this story doesn't exist? Because they don't want to alienate their base by holding Hunter Biden responsible for this at all. Make no mistake what is going on. They are pretending this story doesn't exist in an effort to try to protect Hunter Biden going forward. It is shameful. It is inexcusable. There is no way to defend it. Yet that is what your mainstream media is doing. Appreciate all of you hanging out with me. I will be with you on Thursday with the latest on the college football games coming forward with the championship for the conferences. I'll give you all my picks tomorrow. It'll be up at Outkick. You can go read the anonymous mailbag today. DBAP, unless you need to SBAP. I am Clay Travis, and this has been Outkick the Show.